First off, thank you for being here. Thank you for giving me some time to explain to you what this program is all about. And number one, thank you for whoever you are, because if you're watching this, it means you are someone who is serving somebody else or is connected to somebody else who is struggling with pornography. Perhaps you are somebody who is also struggling with pornography. And if that's the case, then thank you for watching. So I built this program called Liberate. You know, a long time ago, I realized I wanted to help men overcome pornography addiction. And I've been working as a therapist. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist. I've been working as a therapist for a long time. So I'm in my 16th year now, and I specialize in men's mental health. And so as I've walked this journey with so many men, I've realized they have very, very simple problems, actually, right? I mean, pornography is definitely a problem, but what the bigger problems they have is time. Okay, they often don't have time. They don't have money. So the time to do all the recovery, right? The time to do all the therapy. They don't often have the money to be able to invest in that all the time. And they also then, because they don't have the time or the money to invest in therapy, then they lack skills. And a lot of guys, again, it's hard for men to go to therapy anyway. We know that in the research. Women predominantly are those who go to therapy. Men typically avoid it until it's dire, right? Until it's really dire. And in my experience, yes, there are many men who absolutely need clinical help where they're processing deeper pain, deeper trauma, emotional things. Absolutely, that's needed. I have found, however, for a majority of the men I've worked with, especially ages, 18 to 30, it's not so much they need a ton of trauma therapy or they need a bunch of in-depth, work. They truly lack skills and tools. And I think leaders do as well. But these men, they lack the knowledge, and they lack the depth of understanding about pornography specifically. So for an example, pornography is always the solution. Okay. It becomes a problem, but it's always a solution to something else. You're going to hear me say that a ton, that the problem with pornography is that people think pornography is the problem. Now, it isn't the problem, but like I said, it becomes a problem. Where men don't realize is that there is pain, there is deeper stuff that's going on behind the scenes that was also there probably long before the pornography, that pornography became a solution to. Okay, it's a solution to stress, it's a solution to emotional pain, to rejection. It helps you sleep. There's a ton of, it's odd to say it, but there's a ton of benefits to pornography, which is what keeps it so entrenched. So in realizing this, right, that men, they lack the time to go to therapy a lot of the time. They lack even sometimes the courage to go, right? There's a huge lack of courage. This is such a shameful topic. They don't necessarily want to open it up to somebody else all the time. They lack the skills. They lack the tools. They lack somebody who could lead them in that way. They lack a mentor, if you will. And so they just ultimately become more and more alone and then stuck that way. And as we know, Satan loves to pin people and get them by themselves because he can do his worst damage. And so in my mind, I thought, I have to solve these issues. I have to figure a way how to solve these issues. And I believe that I have, and I'm not trying to be arrogant about that, but I do believe we've created something that's a powerful solution, and it's called Liberate. So that's the name of the program that I've created. It is a digital online course that is guaranteed. It really is. It's guaranteed to help men understand, again, hopefully liberate, to recover in a way they never even dreamed of. It's all Christ-centered and clinically directed. I said I'm a therapist, so I use all of my clinical principles and tools I've ever used and compiled them into one place, into one resource. And I'm telling you, the men who are using it are thriving. I have testimonials to support it. I follow up with them. It's a powerful tool. It's even a super powerful tool for wives who are going through it with their men. It actually opens up their eyes to understanding such in a deeper and more compassionate way what this really is, and then how they can be helpful. Because I think a lot of wives, they just get tired of saying, so how are you doing with it? They don't know what else to do, right? And then as leaders, if you're a leader watching this, you ask the same question. So how's it going? And they give you the answer. And then you're like, okay, maybe the answer is I relapsed again, or I've done a little bit better, but I'm struggling. And it's just kind of this circular questioning rather than a direction of where you're actually headed. And so the program follows a step-by-step process to get them to liberation, and it's all Christ-centered as well, as I already said. So the first module it solves some serious issues, right? One of the bigger issues that it solves, the first module is called Prepare. There's 7 of them. The first module solves the issue that most men have, where they continually just ask for help, and they because they always just ask for help, they rarely, or if ever, have asked for healing. And so there's a powerful video there that helps them to change their mindset. It also solves the problem of how they track progress, right? So much of how men track progress is erroneous. But the biggest problem that it solves is it reveals to them the relationship that they have with pornography, right? Giving up pornography is one thing, but there's a relationship to it, just like sugar, right? If somebody's just trying to give up sugar, it's not just about the sugar. There's a relationship to that thing, and giving up the relationship is a lot harder. And so if you don't know what your relationship is to it, how can you, right, overcome it? So the first module answers those problems. The second module answers, I would say, problems of direction by providing 7 core principles that really guide men. I consider these the muscles of the program, if you will, where these principles have to continually be strengthened and over and over and over again. Principles like awareness and belief, discipline, compassion and connection. There's a couple others, but yeah, as they go through the program, there's a sheet, but an assessment, I should say, that really helps them to know where they're at, with each of these principles. So, module 3, to me, solves a huge problem, which is it solves a lot about shame, and it does it through a story about Peter. So I failed to say that, but module 1 is called Prepare, module 2 is called Principles, and module 3 is called Peter. And as I said, the problem that most men have is that they're so alone with it, and they think they're almost like the only one, even though they know other men struggle with it. Because they don't talk about it, it still feels very something that isolates them. And so Peter, the prophet, I use as a case study, and I propose very reverently and kindly that Peter actually did have an addiction, and that the process that he had of overcoming that addiction is very telling and shows us a roadmap for what we need to do. If you're curious, I think that he actually was addicted to fishing and his boat, and that might sound small or insignificant to you, but Christ has some battles with Peter's boat throughout his life, and there's something to be said about that. So that opens up hopefully this more and more compassion for them about, okay, if a prophet of God has actually been like around addiction, like maybe there's something to this, Now modules 4, 5, 6, and 7 are the meat. Okay, those first 3 are the milk of the program, but the last 4 are the meat of the program. And those are called the 4 P's of liberation. So each man that I've ever worked with is always juggling 4 problems that have to be overcome, and they have to be seen and viewed and be aware of. Most men only focused on the one. So the 4 P's are in this order. Okay, it's pain, porn, pride, and purpose. So module 4 is pain, module 5 is porn, module 6 is pride, and module 7 is purpose. So pain, right? So we jump in. Most men out of the 4 only focus on pornography, right? That's one of the biggest issues. They focus on pornography, and they never or rarely look into the pain that pornography is solving. So in module 4, we solve massive problems with pain. We solve emotional problems, we solve the deepest pain of men that they really truly have usually, which is their relationship to love, where men really discover that they've been earning love their entire life, and the act of earning love has been such an exhausting and captivating focus that it's breaking them down. And so we get into relationship pain as well, and how to solve that through empathy. And then we get into other pain as well. And it gives great frameworks and solutions and tools to overcome those pain. Because again, if you solve the pain, you solve the porn. If you're going to starve pornography, then you have to starve it of its gasoline, if you will, or of its fuel, which is usually pain. In the fifth module of pornography, right, we solve the problems of the desire of pornography, right? Pornography is a behavior that we do, but we always have two issues, right? We have the behavior, but we also have the desire. Changing behavior is kind of easy, honestly. Like you can just stop doing something, but how do you like actually change your desire? That's a whole nother beast in and of itself. And in module 5, we push that very, very powerfully on how to actually not just change your behavior with pornography, but giving you tools and methods to actually change your desire, which is awesome, right? In module 6, we get into pride, which is usually the most invisible area to men going through recovery because they're so hyper-focused on their pornography that they don't check their pride. And so the problem that we solve there is really about, enmity with God, but ultimately like a bitterness that has been created. I said in the beginning of this video that a lot of men ask for help a lot, and instead of asking to be healed, the result of not being helped, or they feel like they're not being helped, oftentimes results in a bitter heart. And that bitter heart then pushes them away from God. I wish I could actually put this one at the very beginning, but I had to put them in order somehow. Because your bitter heart really closes you off to God. And so in this module, we powerfully demonstrate how one can actually go through that, but it also has to get into like, do you even want to, right? And you have to actually want to give up your bitterness. And so we invite them a lot to change that. And then module 7 is purpose, which is a problem. It sounds like a solution because it is, but at the same time, it's actually a problem for most people. Because the problem most men have is that their purpose has become stopping pornography, which is what I call an anti-purpose. Anytime we are focused on not doing something, our brain is going to be mush. It doesn't know what not going to hell means. It doesn't know what not eating sugar means. It only knows what we tell it to do. Okay. And so many men have become purposeless because their purpose, ironically, has become to stop pornography. So I ask men all the time, if Jesus came to you right now and said, I'm just going to take this from you, and I'm going to take this addiction from you, what would be your purpose tomorrow? And a lot of men look at me and say, I honestly, I don't know. And so we get into what that has to be so that we don't wait to be recovered to then have purpose. We have to have purpose, which will then pull us out of the addiction itself. So again, I want to just thank you for your time. I know I was trying to go fast for you, but I know that many people are like, can you give me access to the course? And I say, yeah, I will. I'll give you access to see it, but it's big, it's robust. It's a transformational course more than it is just about pornography and lust and masturbation, which it does go over. It's really focused on lust a ton, but so I wanted to just give you a summary and introduce myself as well. And again, thank you for all of your time and effort with these people. You can find the course on MOTYV.com. My website is MOTYV.com, and you can click on it there. And anyone from anywhere can have the course. It has a workbook that comes along with it that has all of the tools, all of the frameworks. It has journal entries. It has all the prompts. I mean, this is full-fledged out there, ready for people to really start changing their lives. And I've seen it work as I've used all of this in my private practice for years now. I finally took it and put it all into one. And now I'm seeing people who are doing the work on their own, from the quiet of their own home, doing the work and getting better. And it's been awesome. So thanks for being part of our movement as well, in liberating men from this addiction, and obviously bringing men to Christ as much as we can. Thanks.